And was your child born in China?
No. We came back. I'm sorry. We came back from China. He went back to the law firm trying to figure out what he was going to do. If he hadn't been married to me, I think he would have jumped off and just become a freelance reporter in Hong Kong. But he had this wife and, you know, responsibilities. And so we went back to San Francisco. Sherman had kept a job for him there. And he was doing this awful bankrupt deal forever and ever and ever. And this deal, by the way, for those of you who are in the law, I'm sure you all have your favorite and your least favorite deals, but this deal got nicknamed the dog that ate the plastic bag. And I just have to jump off here and talk about the dog that ate the plastic bag, which was Bob's dog growing up, Shannon. Now, I was never a dog person. You'll read in Perfectly Imperfect, I had to become one, and so I'm picking poop up at 5 in the morning with the rest of you out there in your house coats. But Shannon, Bob's big black lab, would get loose in his neighborhood in Michigan and run around and eat the garbage in the garbage cans. But Shannon also ate the black plastic bag. So that bag had to come out at some point in time. So the bag would it was a hard thing for that kind of plastic to come out of a dog's intestinal tract. So Bob's mother, with her sweet little Papagallo pump, would put her pump on his rear end and just extrude the black plastic. And it just kind of wouldn't come out. And that became my name for Bob's law deal that just wouldn't end. It was the dog that ate the black plastic bag. So by the time he decided to retire his law career, he, I think, had gone through this and just thought, I miss that adrenaline of being in events that are unfolding. I want to cover things that are happening. So he took a six-figure pay cut, and at 31 with a newborn, he was making $12,000 a year, and we qualified for food stamps. Yeah, food stamps in the state of California. So that was our beginning.
Well, it was a pretty place to be if you're going to be poor.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. You know, but that's really where you know you're living your dream and your passion. I mean, that's a story about passion.
Yes.
And where you want to be. And when you live your life in passion, that will sustain you through where you're going. And with the lower paychecks, I'm sure there were moments you're going, okay, now explain to me why this is a good idea. But as you're in line with your food stamps to buy. But that's, you know, that's a great strategy. It's a great story, too. So that's the lesson learned here today, is that live your passions. Choose to do things where you have passion, because it will ultimately lead you to where you want to go. We always take a moment.
No, but that's true. And my husband would say to you, if you follow your passion, the money will come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so true. And I've seen it time and again. I'm waiting for my payoff, too. So anyway, one thing, and I love one of the stories you had in there in the book. And I remember the first time I met you, you shared this story. It's one of those memorable stories about your idea of what lingerie was like when you were living in. You know the story I'm talking about?
I do, and if my husband was a little quicker, you would today be able to go to YouTube and find the video that I'm making to launch this book just a couple days late about that lingerie.
Okay, so let's talk about your lingerie. Share with everybody here.
Well, I see a lot of young women in the audience, but back in the 80s, there was something called the Lance of Salzburg nightgown. Is anybody with me? The flannel? Yeah, oh yeah. I know. Yeah. There was the Lance. There were Lance knockoffs. It didn't have to be a Lance, but good little girls wore the flannel nightgown with the little, you know, lace cuffs and the whole thing. So
you felt good in it.
You did, and flannel. Let's face it, flannel is great. Not so great maybe with menopause coming on. Not like the best thing, but back then on a cold night, flannel nightgown, and it was like Daddy's little good girl. And his mother gave me one every year for Christmas, and I had gotten out of my bath. My baby was just born. We were going to have a night in, watch a movie, and I'm looking for the nightgown. And he calls me over to the balcony in our apartment in San Francisco and points down on the ground on the road where he's thrown this nightgown, and it's now roadkill with tire tracks over it. And I thought, you know, it's a chapter called The Key in the Door, and it's about how do you feel when you hear that key in the door from your significant other. You know, do you get a little lift? Do you think, oh, Jesus, now I have to cook him dinner? I mean, what's that initial feeling that you feel? And I think it tells you a lot about how you feel about kind of marriage and your partner. And one of the biggest gifts, I think, in a marriage is being able to listen. You may not always follow the advice, but listen. So this was one of those moments where I listened, and I thought, okay, he really doesn't want to see me warming milk up for him in my flannel nightgown and, as a young wife. And so I never again bought a flannel nightgown until about a month ago, where I went online and bought 3 and have proceeded to make a video where my girlfriends and I are playing tennis in the lawns. We went to the grocery store in the lawns. I got George Stephanopoulos' wife, Allie, to stand in the lawns with a briefcase hailing a cab here in Washington. I sent the lawns to all my girlfriends and wrote a rap song about the flannel nightgown.
Is it going to be on YouTube?
It's going to be on YouTube, and I need everyone to make it viral.
Oh my gosh,
And,
send it. We will, girls will make it viral. I'll even put in a Alon's nightgown on for you.
You need to, but I got hundreds of photos because I went on Facebook and email and said, send me your picture if you were ever in one. Elizabeth Edwards sent me a picture, Mariska Hargitay as a little girl. I mean, the Lawns, people had so much fun looking through their old photo albums to dig out their flannel nightgowns as a girl.
I love it. I love it. And
So-
I'm sure these younger women who are joining us today going,
They'll be buying one. They'll be going home right now and Googling it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There really is nothing more comfortable than a cold winter night and a flannel nightgown. You know?
It's a little Sound of Music, ladies, if you're picturing like Julie Andrews going running through the fields.
Remember the little cuffs,
The little collar, yeah.
But your husband is making a statement when he does throw your lingerie out on the road and people are driving over it. That is a statement.
That's basically saying,
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
you out of this. Now, I'd like to tell you that then I ran out to Fredericks of Hollywood and got things with feathers and nipple cutouts and stuff, and I did not do that. I did not, but I never again bought a flannel nightgown.
Yeah, there's got to be a happy medium.
I think so.
Yeah, no, kitten with a whip, no, definitely no.
Not working for me.
No, me either. You don't have that kind of look anyway. If I don't know what that look is anyway.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you do.
We all kind of want to be kitten with a whip, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The men in this audience are going, okay.
Yeah.
I'm
No, they're
following
totally with us. They're just pretending.
Yeah, that's
Not to
right.
know.
That's right. I think I'm embarrassed, not really. Anyway, so from San Francisco. So Bob was getting jobs, and you were staying home being a mom. Raising a baby.
No, not on $12,000 a year.
Okay.
I hung that shingle out, and I had thought maybe I would take a few years off as a new mom. I didn't know. I know now that that probably wouldn't have been that mom. I'd like my plate really full, and I also need that just kind of positive feedback and reinforcement that you get from a job that you don't get from a baby throwing up all over your shoulder. As much as I loved being a mom, I loved having the balance. I loved having the two things, as stressful as it was at times. So I was a writer, and I had my own PR business. And that was portable, which was never something I thought about at the time when I signed up to work in PR, but it ended up being a real gift, because if you're a reporter and you want to continue to move up and move on, you move out of your market. And so in the first, I think, 16 years of marriage, I can't remember the figure, we'd moved 9 times. So my little business was portable. The email industry was beginning to happen. The internet was coming online just at a time when I needed to be able to telecommute. And all that kind of came together for my business.
Excellent, excellent. So Bob's kind of working, trying to get into the reporting, journalism. You're kind of setting up. So that's a really nice compliment between the two. Do you find that having those complementary careers works for y'all?
Yeah, I mean, I could look at a script of his and kind of give him my thoughts, and he was a great editor for my things that I was writing. And then in the early days, I found there was a little makeup company in San Francisco called Benefit Cosmetics, which has since become a really big brand. But in the old days when it was little, and they were my first client on the PR side, Bob would come home and we would type labels for all the editors, and we'd slap labels on, Jiffy bags and put the product in and mail it. So he kind of became, I named my company in the old days Mule and Stick. And so, and it was a little graphic of a mule plus stick. And so he was the mule and I was the stick. And the idea was, if you want to do this journalism business and put us into poverty, you're going to be the mule working on this on the other side. So.
That's right. That's right. So what was the next move out of San Francisco? How long were you there? A couple of years?
A year.
A year.
San Francisco to Richmond, Richmond to Phoenix, Phoenix to Chicago, Chicago to Washington, Washington to London, London to New York.
Wow. Wow. So but did you enjoy the traveling and moving?
You know what I did? I did. By the time I got to New York 8 years ago, I was tired of it. Tired of finding the new pediatrician. Tired of making the new friends. I probably haven't dug into my town in Westchester the way I could. But that's also because I have a sister near there and I have college friends. I feel like I have a base of really good friends. But I have a Christmas card list that will blow your head off, because we've lived in these wonderful places and made incredible friends. And was something really nice about the peripatetic life. You get to a point with your kids, as I did when I got to New York and my son was in 6th grade, where they say,
Right.
We want to plant roots down, and it's unfair to them to continue to move schools and change schools.